Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. It's Monday. It's week 3 in college football. It's week 2 in the NFL. And I'm here with my good friend and pal, F in Tony. Notice how that's spelled. It's F with no period. In is his middle name, Tony. And I think he's legally filed to have his name legally changed, which I also want the Washington football team and their owner, Mr. Snyder, to take me seriously on my tweet that their name, and they would get so much more respect from the fan base, and they would gather new fans if they called themselves the Iron Condors. So I want you to spread the word, get it out there. I think it's a cool name. I mean, think what the jerseys would look like at SoFi Stadium. It would be unreal. The Iron
At
Condors.
SoFi?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, the lighting. The Super Bowl is going to be played half in sunshine and half in the dark. If you think
Really?
about it, I think so. If I'm right on the solar, eclipses and all that stuff.
Unless it's overcast.
Well, that's true. But technically, that's still sun.
Yeah.
That's still sunshine, technically.
Yes. Well, yeah. You know what I mean.
But then we're talking Inglewood, California. I don't think there is any clouds, are there?
Not many. There's not many here
Yeah.
in Vegas. We don't have a lot of clouds here. We have clouds, but they don't really affect. They don't really. They get stuck on the top of the mountains surrounding us. See, so.
So we were talking backstage here a little bit about the weekend, and last Friday you nailed it and said that basically you were saying, like, listen, guys, anything can and will happen in week 1, and undoubtedly it happened again. And we were talking about some of our not necessarily bad beats, but they kind of felt bad. You and I both like Jacksonville quite a bit, and it wasn't Trevor Lawrence. I thought had a good day. In fact, one of my questions for you today that I have on the YouTube menu is, who played better, Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence? Both of them lost.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Miami was hanging on, whereas Jacksonville was beat in the first half already. But
yes, they were. Well, when they were down 14 points, it was early enough that that never really concerns me. Not in the NFL, especially playing a Houston team that showed better than they. Here's the good thing about those kind of games, and there's several kind of games like that where just off the cuff, we could talk about the New England Miami. If you look at the New England and Miami game, you look at the box score and you didn't know the final score, you would probably be surprised to find Miami winning that.
Yep.
If you were on San Francisco yesterday and you said basically at the fourth quarter started, this game's over, I'm going to go out and do some of my honey-do list, or I'm going to run to Home Depot and pick up a few things to winterize the yard, and come back and find out you don't cover that game because of 2 onside kicks and 2 touchdowns with 2 converted 2-point two-point conversions successfully converted. That may be the bad beat. I don't think that Detroit really deserved to cover in that game. However,
yeah, I agree.
There's some things you could learn from that as well. There's we talked. Las Vegas Chris was here this morning. We talked about his Circa contest entries and how he did. He did pretty well personally. He said he didn't, but he does a lot other investing outside of what he tells his clients, because they're typically situational. Maybe points. Maybe he might jump a number on his own, and those are things that are hard to give or to relay or to submit them into the system and expect your clients to get that in a timely fashion with the ability, as many options as he has. He probably has, I'm guessing, 10 to 15, maybe more books that he can shop lines at, and he always gets the best number. It's mission critical to him, and it should be to everyone. I should not to that degree, maybe, John, but it's important. Then we usually talk each other out of a game or two. He talked me out of a total. that was a winner. He tried to talk me out of another game that I lost. So it's usually a Monday morning. I told you so, you bitch, that kind of thing. Why didn't you talk to him? Why weren't you hard? Why weren't you stronger about this or that? And then we complain about something. And, he has to go to work. I have to go to work, and on we go. And then it's a rinse and repeat the following Monday morning. I don't know how I don't think he did. I think he was a 3-2. I asked him with Circa, and I think he said it was a 3-2. He did have another contest, which was a small contest that he does with some of his, his friends, acquaintances, peers, whatever they might be, that he some of his younger years, and he had a perfect 5-0 for that one, which made me think, and that was the NFL, which made me think, well, was that a perfect 5-0 in Circa? Then he said, well, no, because it's just there's different contests, different situations. This one didn't fit the Circa, but it's 5 games. It's 5 games in the NFL, which is hard to do, guys. It's hard to do, and
it is.
Yeah, it is. There's like in baseball, batted ball luck has a lot to do with the final results of a game. The best pitcher the best pitcher on the planet can lose because of batted ball luck, or batted ball bad luck by his own teammates. So that said, what we learned, what we learned. I do a couple columns. You'll be able to read one of them, whichever one I decide to finish first, which is college or NFL. You'll read them in the WagerTalk News. And now it's they've changed the format there at WagerTalk so that everything's integrated. There's no separation anymore between WagerTalk and WagerTalk News, as there has been for years and years. So that you can read about what I learned in the NFL. That's one of the only things I tweet out. I try the best I can to condense the characters on those and make it short, sweet. Sometimes I have an issue, and people will tell me it doesn't make much sense. And I said, well, then go to the column and read it. Be more sense. I tell you what we learned, and we didn't talk about it much, John, but I bellowed it on Thursday. And Rob and I and the three of us talked a little bit about it on Friday, and that was the Green Bay New Orleans matchup. And
I was on the Saints.
What happens to Aaron Rodgers when he doesn't have his left tackle? The numbers they're ridiculously hard to believe, in truth, if you look at his career numbers without the LT. Yep. And I don't think that was everything. I don't think that sum alone equated to what the results were yesterday. But there was a couple plays in that game that a roughing the quarterback call that almost to a man, especially Las Vegas Chris, who benefited from that call, said it's the worst call he'd seen. He said the officiating's horrible. I said, well, it's been horrible. Last year it was worse than I can ever remember it. And
even in last night's game too.
Yeah, and I didn't watch any last night's game. That was my Sunday. That was my one of my picks. Listen, it was not it. That probably should have been my big play, but it wasn't my big play because I have a hard time. By the time I released that, I knew that they would make that adjustment. It was a 7.5. So at some point in time after 12 Eastern time, for those of you listening, always if it's a 7.5 on game day, it's going to move to a 9. When the books make that adjustment for teasers, is once the first book does it, the rest of them piggyback.
We did the same. We saw the same thing in Tampa Bay.
Exactly. Sure.
Yep.
And it's going to happen. So in that situation, I guess if I never suggest or advise or recommend that you buy half points. I never buy any points in the NFL. I never buy them, not literally. However, there are many times I take a number that's heavy that is the same thing as buying the half point. A 7 minus 125 is a 7.5. But you're paying for the hook. You're paying to get off that hook. So I shouldn't say it, but I don't. If a penny has a line out that's 7.5 minus 105, it's still going to cost you 20 cents, even a penny,
Yep.
if you want to go to a 7. So,
I've never bought a half point in my life.
um,
That's the truth.
I have bought in half points, and guess I bought in half points because they were the times I have bought in them. It typically was a heavy 7, where I'm talking about a minus 35 or something. Where to buy the half point,
Yeah, I see. Yep.
I didn't pay. I didn't really pay for it. I could have got plus money and ended up giving minus a small,
Right.
given a standard 105 or 110, buying that point. So, listen, there's a lot of things I don't ever do. I don't play home teams on the run line. I will play occasionally. I will play an alternate line, which is what the run line is, in truth, but it's not really an alternate line. Last week I played last Friday night. This past Friday night I played the Dodgers minus 2.5 at home, minus 2.5, getting plus. I got it at 170. By the time I entered it, it was down to plus 150. But they had a 5-2 lead and gave up 2 runs in the 8th and made it a 5-4 final. Yep. Yeah. So I was looking at that, and
Beautiful.
I didn't believe that the Padres would even score, truthfully. And they did. They hit 2 2-run home runs. That's what they did.
That's pretty cool. I'll tell you one thing too. That's a trend with Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
In his career, in games that he has played where they scored 6 or fewer, they scored 3 yesterday, I think. And I think they scored all 3 at the same time. It's like a 3-run homer or something.
Mm-hmm.
But seriously, Aaron Rodgers following a game of 6 or fewer offensive points, 1-4-1 against the spread, 6-0 on the over, 0-6 straight up. They take on Detroit next week.
Yeah, you see, on those are your these trends you have.
He's going to be without his left tackle again, and I researched some of these games, and he was missing the left tackle in those games.
Maybe so, but who were the games against? What was the opening line? I'm a big listen. If I'm doing trends, it's all about the bookmaker and perception and all the trends I use. And you see me ever write about or list are all lined bookmaker, typically perception trends. And I've said this on the show. Remember, John, when I told you I got a couple drive-bys. A drive-by on my Twitter account once. It was 2 summers ago during the Fall Classic when Atlanta was trying to. I don't remember who they were playing. It was a first round, game 1 of the first playoff round, and it was the first time they'd been in the playoffs since I think 2012. It'd been 7, 8, 9 years.
It was a while, yeah.
And the guy, and basically I had Atlanta in that game. I think it was Max Fried was having a great year pitching, and 19, and they lost. And the guy said that I was the worst handicapper on the face of the earth. That Atlanta was 1-16 or 1-12, something like that, in game 1s of the opening playoff series. And so, before I had said anything to him, and I would have typically I just I kill them with kindness when I get drive-bys, because you can't win arguing those. You don't argue them. You don't answer. I answer them. I will do so politely, respectfully, and basically say, with all due respect, I don't agree, or I do agree, or I was wrong, or I was right and got bad luck. I also don't say, I never on air will say I had a bad beat or I felt like there was some injustice. I was wrong. I'm either right or I'm wrong.
Right. I agree with that theory too.
And that's dictated by the final score typically, and whether I win or lose. So it is what it is. Typically, all that stuff is a wash in the long run. After 25 years, it's a wash. I think I've been my mantra, and many times. Have I said this to you? I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I tell people all the time. Listen, please don't wish me luck, because the only luck I can have is bad luck, because I'm always right.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true in golf too.
Yeah, right. It was the win. It was
which I did play yesterday. I actually played yesterday afternoon. And,
you see that? You know what that tells me, don't you? That you're not working hard enough. It's football season. You can't play golf if it's football season.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I've learned is that other than the fact that I love playing golf, especially with my family,
Right.
and this was a real treat because he just joined this new place, and I'm telling you, I've played a lot of golf courses in a lot of different places, and this was in a kind of near Amish country.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like
middle of Pennsylvania.
Everything about
Beautiful.
The Amish. I like everything about the Amish.
But it was a course done by Reese Jones, who did the green course down in Williamsburg and a whole bunch of other courses.
Yeah.
The elevation changes and the creativity that it took that guy to build that golf course into the masterpiece that it is was I don't know where it even ranks on my list. It just was spectacular, but slope ratings above 150 are not fun for everybody.
Difficult. I don't know what the slope was on that course, but typically
155.
If you change elevations like that for a guy who's not experienced at that, it's very frustrating. It's a frustrating, and especially if he's not experienced at that and happens to be if he's a 12 handicap, a good golfer, it is nothing like a par 3 that's it's listed as being 170 yards, yet it's got a 200-yard drop from tee to green. They have no idea what to hit. In fact, to be truthful, I could probably play that 10 times and still not know what to hit because of the wind and how it plays to that hole on that course and what blocks, what doesn't. That's very, very frustrating for a guy who just wants to go out and play. Now, somebody who's experienced or likes the challenge, that's pretty fun. More so, downhill is more. It's never was that much of a conundrum for me, but hitting a long iron to a elevated green is just and especially if it's surrounded by traps, it's the chance you hitting that green and sticking a ball are in my world
slim.
We're 5%.
It becomes a par 5.
It surely does. And and if you're smart, you don't even do what I would do, and that is, take a chance to hit that 5%. You just lay it up in front of the traps and you get up and down. Because you're not going to stick that green. Obviously, it depends on the green, but you know what I mean? You would have to,
if you are above 15 handicap on this course, you would literally have to play the front tees. Because some of the drives you have to cover 200, and a lot of times that 200 is into the wind.
Well, then you have issues. Well, some guys have issues. Yeah.
Right.
If you can't hit a low ball, if you don't have a driver, if you don't know how to hit into the wind and hit low, listen, most people don't know how to do it, John. Most people can't do it consistently. They can't.
It is somewhat easy to learn, but to your point, I mean, it makes shots.
It takes a certain club. Typically, listen, I hit a low. My face on my driver, I don't like to hit high anyway. If I want to hit high, then I can hit a 3-wood long enough that I'd use it. But my drivers, I'm not much. I hit a lot of 3-woods off the tee, regardless of the length of the hole. I do.
I can hit a 3-wood, this nice little boring draw, a lot easier than with my driver, and therefore when it hits the ground, it explodes and the wind doesn't stop it.
Well, and I can manipulate my 3-wood a lot more than I can manipulate my driver.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Plus, the driver is designed to be forgiving, which.
Yes, I can cut, I can hook, I do whatever it takes with my 3-wood almost, and be fairly consistent with it. But that driver, I don't ever try to do anything but have a slight draw. That's all, and it doesn't always. It doesn't always fit the hole. That's the problem. See.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. If you have if you have a sharp dog leg right, there we go. Yeah. If you have a sharp dog leg right, and as long as I hit the ball, it's not the club to use. So.
I'll have to tell you more about this place off the air.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was,
yeah.
it was, I mean, it ranks up in the top 5 for sure. I mean, I have it ahead of Pebble Beach. Let's put it that way.
I've played Pebble Beach many times. So
Spyglass is
many,
much
many
better.
times. I've played when I was 18 years old. I played before I went to play. Well, I was a fairly good golfer then, and I played, like I said, I played college golf, but I never made the traveling squad. I was more. It enabled me to get to know when I went to college to know some people, and it enabled me to get play free whenever I wanted to play free. So
It's a
there
good
was
deal.
a lot of really good golfers at the college I went to, and it was fun, but only lasted a couple years, and then I got interested in other things um, like hallucinogenics, stuff like that. Yeah,
There is a college football game I want to
yeah.
talk about here with you, and I'm just gonna
Uh,
bring my. It's As you remember on the show, I said I was pretty bold. I did pizza money bet Toledo would upset Notre Dame,
yes.
and they damn near did. They should have, would have, could have.
Yeah.
I get it. You know, it's what a should have, could have club never makes a dime, and it just makes you look like a crybaby when you say, "Oh, they should have won," but they didn't. But there's something wrong with Notre Dame, and I did a little pre-research today. I had
Mhm.
Dr. Chuck on making his premiere on the Predictive Playbook show,
Right.
and when I did the pick, kind of spontaneously on the show, he agreed with it. And what is up with Notre Dame? Because you have Purdue now, 2-0 going into their house, and they're 7-point underdogs. And what has Purdue been called this year? The one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. So we have, Florida State comes back on them, exposes the defense, and maybe it was the drama of the quarterback from Florida State and that whole story. I don't buy into that. When you're a football player on defense, yeah, you might know the story, but that's not entering your head like, well, now we have this game won because he's in. It doesn't make any sense. So the one thing I think is really glaring is that where is my stat? Tony. Oh, here we go. Karen Williams is the leading rusher on Notre Dame, averaging 42 yards a game. Now, granted, it's 2 games, but it's 42 yards. 42 yards is their leading rusher.
Well, how many rushing yards do they have against Toledo?
As a team, it's not good.
Well, how many?
They can't run the ball. I don't know off the top of my head, actually, but they
Okay.
cannot run the ball.
I didn't pay any
And
attention to that game, to be honest with you. I paid enough attention to know this, and that was, I thought there would be. There was no doubt in my mind. There's no such thing. I don't think teams look past teams.
yeah, I agree 100%. That's a bunch
Well,
of
they
crap.
don't look past teams from week one. You don't.
No.
Somebody tried to tell me that Oregon was looking, or Washington was looking past Montana because of their week 2 matchup, and I just basically said disagree because kids it's a season opener.
No.
I don't care who you're playing. So
I agree 100%.
St. Mary's of the blind. You're going to destroy them if you can.
Yep.
So. But I would say this: I thought there might be. It's Toledo, and kids are kids, and I don't think you can put. Don't. There's some MAC programs, Toledo being one of them, that would be a mistake to take them lightly, no matter who you are. But I thought there would be a letdown. I thought they spoke loudly. I thought the book spoke very loudly when they made that number at less than 20.
Oh, I agree. I was all over it. It was one of the premium plays from the start. And
Well, no, I mean, I think that yeah, but that's
they
were telling you, listen, do not discount Toledo.
Yep.
Is what they were saying, and there had to be a
Well, what does
letdown
the
from
public
Florida
think? The
State.
public thinks, oh, Toledo.
Well,
Are they in Ohio? Where are they again? What conference? Oh, the MAC. Oh,
Well,
Notre Dame's
is
going
that
to
the
kill
Toledo?
them.
I would have said it's the Toledo Mud Hens, by the way, too.
That's right. Yes. Love the names. But listen to this, Tony.
Yeah.
And granted, it's only 2 games.
Yeah, you can't.
Rushing yards, 98.5 yards a game. Okay.
You mean in the 2 games combined?
Per game, 98.5. They've gained 341 yards of passing, 25 for 35, 70%. So that kid's doing okay. But the rushing and making things worse, they're giving up 5 yards per rush on defense.
Right.
Toledo, Florida State. Are those two of your better running teams? And now you got Purdue.
Yeah. Well, I don't listen. That's a game. Look who's Purdue's played.
I'll pull it up here quick to make sure I know my facts before I say it. Well, if you know, go ahead.
No, you're looking.
Let's bring it up. Stats. Okay, so they're 2-0, and they have played. Sometimes the database doesn't really cooperate. Schedule and results might be a good thing to look at.
There you go.
They have beat Oregon State 30-21.
Yep.
And they beat Connecticut.
Yeah. Listen, to all due respect, UConn is not ever is if they were in basketball, we had 357 basketball teams, and this was a basketball UConn, they would be right there about 340 or 345 as far as where they would rank. Bad. Okay. Not a contest. And Purdue was fortunate to be in truth against Oregon State. And they were fortunate. That happens. You make your own fortune, your own luck in most cases. So I would be, you already said it. Do not overreact or undervalue teams in the first 2 weeks of what they can do. Listen, if I told you, what if I told you this? Michigan wins by 3 touchdowns over Washington. Okay. 3 touchdowns. They win by, it was about 3 touchdowns. What was the final score? I don't remember exactly, but it's close, right?
Yeah.
3 touchdowns, 21 points. How many yards did Michigan throw for in that 3 touchdown win? How many yards did they throw for?
Well, then I can tell you that.
44. So
44.
Would you say to me, would you say, hold it, I'm not playing Michigan. They only threw for 44 yards. They can't throw the football. It's not the case.
I would be more. I'm more impressed with that than I am concerned with Notre Dame averaging less than 100 yards a game.
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying is most people look at that and say, listen, if they face a team that has a good rushing defense, then I can't play Michigan. That's not the case. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. This was
perfect.
This was Washington, who doesn't have a lot of depth. They're a good defensive team. Washington's a good defensive team. That is it's their calling card. In fact, if that's why they're going to win, typically they're going to create points because they're more than capable. They're excellent defensively. However, they're they don't have a lot of depth on the front 7, and they can't rotate guys in and out like most teams can. You see most of the rotation never happens defensively. All your rotation happens in your front 4, front 3, depends on whether you run 3-4 or 4-3. But I wrote it. I had Michigan, not so much because of what they did in week 1 or what Washington losing to Washington, but I said Washington will. I think I remember telling you guys, Washington will not recover from that loss to Montana. They will be questioning themselves offensively, and they will not recover. I like them. They were supposed to be better offensively. Here's the deal. Michigan was the biggest backfield they will see all year. Those big backs, Michigan just pounded it. And by the time the third quarter rolled around, but halfway through the quarter, those front 7 quit. They were so tired. They tried, but it's hard. It's hard.
They were worn down.
It's very hard to fight through that fatigue if you don't have something to fight for. And I know they didn't feel like they had anything to fight for at that point.
Yep, I agree.
But the Pac-12 is overrated. Period. Anyway, I mean, look,
Stanford did.
Well, I lost in week 1 with USC. And I said over and over to everybody who was trying to say, listen, Hilton's finally figured it out. I said, do not be misled. That final score of that San Jose State USC game was not indicative of what the game was and who USC was. There was a pick six. There was a couple red zone failures by San Jose State that probably shouldn't have been, or that maybe could have been different, and then everything is different. And what Helton did at the end of that game against San Jose State was he's up 16, time's running out. All he has to do is kneel or run the football. He's trying to score again. He's so desperate to be impressive because his ass is on fire. He shouldn't still even be there, and he is, and he knows. And guess what? It's over. Helton is no longer. He will not be this coach next year at USC. I don't care what they do. They would have to win the Pac-12 championship. They would have to threaten to be to be a part of the Final Four, basically the January 4, and the Big 12, the Pac-12 will not be part of that Final Four. At this point in time, Oregon is your team now. UCLA or Oregon,
yep.
And there's teams inside. Neither one are strong enough. If there's a team that's more balanced and more capable, it's probably Chip Kelly's team. As hard as that is for me to say, it's probably his team, and they will falter. They will falter because of who they are, because of what that offense is, and because of how Chip Kelly coaches. He doesn't make adjustments. He doesn't change. Some smart team, Stanford. Listen, Stanford changes quarterbacks. They have 300 wide receivers. They couldn't have beat a Big Sky basketball team on a football field. They just couldn't do it, and they beat USC. If you saw them in week one, they were horrible, and it's USC at its best. It's Helton at his best. It's the Pac-12, who they are, and until Pete Carroll comes back to the Pac-12, that's who they'll be.
Well, why Urban Meyer didn't take the USC job? Because I guess the rumors were that was pretty much handed to him on a silver plate, or maybe even a golden plate.
Yes.
Why he chose Jacksonville? Who knows?
Well,
I'd rather have Urban Meyer at USC than him in the NFL, because we know that the trend college coaches going to the NFL usually doesn't work out so well.
Well,
and this is a rebuilding program.
There's most successful NFL coaches coached in college. Now, Pete Carroll is a good example. Listen, Pete Carroll should never have been fired from New England. He should never have been let go when he was the New England coach. Bill Belichick should never have been let go when he was a Cleveland head coach. Those guys were the same coaches. I think Myers took that NFL job because it's easy to quit that job. It's much easier to quit in the NFL than it is to quit in college. There's no boosters in the NFL. You're not having to swoon and have dinner with that booster that's given $25 billion to the university. And he only did it because you're there. And then you quit. It's a much easier situation for a coach in the NFL, especially one. Look at Saban. He basically said, you know what? They're offering me the Alabama job. I'll see you. I'm gone. He had no problem leaving Miami Dolphins, and he's a pretty proud guy. He had a lot to prove still, and he chose, you know what? I'm gone. And he's losing some of what he had, what he liked, and he's kind of a control freak. Those kind of guys are typically control freaks anyway. They have a problem micromanaging or delegating without, standing over your shoulder and making sure you're doing it their way.
Yep.
He loses a little bit of that with the licensing, the image and that's going on. He even mentioned, man, what's going to happen? When before this even happened, he made a nice interview. He did a nice interview where he said, "You're going to have kids now. He said it won't happen in our program, doubtfully, because we're always playing. We're always the feature attraction every weekend, and you're going to get more You're going to get more ESPN, FaceTime, etc. But he said there's going to be kids all over the college scene, all over the campuses, midway through a season when they're going to be going to the NFL, then they're going to quit. They're just going to quit. That basically the guys that pass on playing in the bowl games, I don't begrudge them for that at all, especially unless it's a national championship game, But that said, college football has changed now. We haven't seen it yet, but it's changed.
Sorry, Rob. I don't know how long you were waiting. I usually get a beep from the producer in my headset, but I guess he's asleep at the wheel.
He's drunk.
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
Good afternoon, fellas.
Yeah, we're talking.
Is it still morning?
We're talking college football.
Tony?
What's that?
Is it still morning where you are? You said good morning.
No, it's not morning, but it depends on how it's all subjective. It's all perception.
Let me ask you a question, because I just spent the last 15 minutes listening to you rant and rave, Tony Finn.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Hi, sorry, Rob. I didn't know you were backstage.
Do you think that's all right, John? We love listening to Tony.
Yeah.
Do you think that these big name kids that sign these deals now, the name and licensing deals with these companies, could these companies put in?
Yes, they can,
and they should. And you have to play the bowl game, that you can't quit half the season because we have a lot of money riding on this, so you better play all the games. I feel like they should do that.
They can do it here. We know this. If this is a negotiation, and this is capitalism at its best, right? This is exactly what the businessmen want. They can put anything they want into a contract,
which could change these kids quitting on bowl games, right? It could change it.
It could, and what they have to compete against is this: is there another company that is giving the kid the offer, maybe for a little less money, without those stipulations, without those conditions? And it may take it, as Mac on record is talking Bitcoin and dollars. I'm seeing the signs come up. That is
go to bed.
That is without question is accurate, and it's all me too. Listen, I will take, and I've taken jobs that paid me. I've given up jobs that paid me more money because of what some of my stipulations, or what I believe are to exaggerate it, priceless. Okay, can't put a price on. Okay. Not recently. I haven't done that. I'm not in demand anymore. Not that I was ever really in demand, period. Anyway, but I did have some choices in life at one time, and I rarely settle. But the older you get, the more, the smarter you get, and sometimes settling is okay. Especially when it comes to women, by the way, everybody listening out there. Compromise, make compromise. Yeah.
It's got to be a couple.
Yeah.
So, Rob, you heard the...
I think so, Rob. I think that's a good point. And I fully expect that to become, listen, not only do I fully expect that to become an issue,
right?
If these kids are not paid, if it's not prorated through the contract, I expect some of these kids to get sued if they got paid for everything up front because they did something that was in violation of the contract. And they're kids. Yep. And I don't care what lawyer says, man, I told him. He's a kid.
Right. It doesn't matter.
He's a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, because at the end of the rope, you wonder, I mean, the reason why they skip bowl games is because the NFL money is so big. So does a kid look at the money he's getting from the Alabama local Honda dealer and say, well, I got 50 times that much waiting for me, so I ain't playing. Then he gets sued because it was in his contract to play, right?
And I'll say this. It's not just the money at that point in time. It's also listen, I played in the NFL. I was drafted at this point in the NFL. There's prizes, and there's tags, and there's little gold name tags and nameplates where you go that come along with those accomplishments in life that have nothing to do with how you performed in the NFL. It's something to say that you were drafted on the first day of the NFL draft. That alone is worth something. There's a monetary value attached to that, whether you ever played or not. So
it'll be interesting to see how this does if it shifts it where the bowl games are concerned.
Yes.
I think.
Yep.
And let's be realistic. We're exaggerating, and I keep telling people, not every college kid that plays football is getting these big, huge deals. Understand something? You have to be special.
Right. The big.
And if you're special in college, there's a good chance that you're going to be special on the first day of the NFL draft, or at least the second or the third day. Maybe not the first, because how many kids get drafted on day one in the NFL draft? It's less 32. Than 100. It's 100, right?
Yep.
Oh, one round. Well, the first round, 32.
Right, but I'm saying the first 3 rounds, that's an amazing feat, and it's less than 100.
Right. Absolutely.
You're special. Absolutely. You are Barnum and Bailey special.
And I haven't kept tabs on it, but for the most part, the kids that I saw get money were big name SEC kids. And the SEC, the South, the dealerships and the businessmen in that neck of the woods are quick. I didn't see Big Ten kids, Pac-12 kids. Are any of these guys getting these
Big
deals?
12. Well, here's what happened. Here's the difference. The mentality in the South East is that it's much. Stay out of the most of those schools, most of those programs. As is college football, aren't in Los Angeles. It's a big difference. LA, just because you're a USC Trojan or UCLA Bruin, it's different than being from Tuscaloosa. Okay? And if you get somebody to advertise, if somebody's advertising from a ma and pa outfit in Tuscaloosa and they're willing to pay him, I firmly believe that every single, unless you have a horrible reputation, that's money well spent, because everybody in Tuscaloosa, everybody within 160 miles is coming to see you and saying, we appreciate what you did, and we're going to reward you for doing that. That's just my opinion. So you shook your head. The SEC is different. The SEC is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
Because Bryce Young is a kid who's played 2 college football games, and he got $1 million. But Sam Howell, for UNC is second choice, third choice, whatever, to win the Heisman Trophy. And I don't know for sure, but I didn't hear about him getting any deals. Maybe he did. The kid at Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler, is the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. And did he get a deal? I'm not sure. Chris Olave for Ohio State is the best player on Ohio State. He's a first rounder. Did he? Yeah, that's the SEC. Baton Rouge
and Alabama. It's Alabama,
and it's right on down the line. I would say Baton Rouge is thrown into that mix, and
I agree.
And
100%.
Auburn, all those teams, right? Ole Miss. They've all got that tradition.
Shreveport. Listen, they're
Oxford,
all
the
South is a different animal. It's a different animal.
No doubt about it. I mean, Georgia, Athens, Georgia.
Yes.
So
it's Augusta, a microcosm of what even Augusta, and not everything. And let me be very transparent. I'm not saying that I like that or love that kind of country family feel, hug, kisses. You help this kid, and he's from my own. Because there's a lot of things about Augusta that have changed for the better. But 10 years ago, I'd tell you, I'm disgusted. I like to watch the Masters, but I think Augusta was pampered, and I thought for the most part, you might have won, and they might have slipped the green jacket on you, and they might have invited you a few meet and greets, lunches, and that kind of thing with co-marketing. But there was a lot of times I know personally from guys I know that played professional golf that say, listen, they never made you feel welcome though at Augusta. And if you were a certain religion or a certain ethnic, or that you weren't welcomed,
and that was never brought. Or no brighter light was ever shown on that than what Fuzzy Zeller had to say to Tiger Woods that
Oh,
year, right?
man.
I mean, come on.
Yep.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
Give me
And
a break.
that's right.
Yep.
You're absolutely correct.
So.
And those kind of things, trust me, I come from, again,
Yep.
I don't want to bring this up, but I grew up, my neighbors were shot by police officers during civil rights in the late 60s in the alleys, and never mentioned it was despicable, dude. Yeah. Despicable. And all because I don't know how it still just takes my breath away. Some of the things I saw and some of the things I was subjected to, and the fact that that we couldn't buy gasoline in a can. We had curfew at 6 p.m, all because and they weren't all peaceful protests, but for the most part, trust me when I tell you, in my town there were kids in college that were beat up and jailed, and because they were basically make their First Amendment right was freedom of speech, and they were speaking freely, peacefully, and it was despicable. It's another show. Let's talk sports.
It's another show is right.
Yeah. But you brought that up, and I couldn't agree with you more. The SEC, if a kid wants to get a big contract, has the wherewithal to do such, I'm probably going to be taking an offer for in the SEC even though I may have to sit my first year, maybe, or play part-time or share a role or something, or not be because it doesn't have to be $1 million, guys. Some of these kids, $100,000.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on. Give me 100. Yeah. Give me $100,000 when I'm 18, and you're going to have to put a monitor. I'm going to put an ankle bracelet on me just to keep track of me, because I'm going to be doing stuff that the coach doesn't want me to do. Right. Yeah. I promise you. They may say, what's Finn doing in Mexico? Well, I'd probably tell you why I'm doing in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the starting quarterback tomorrow.
What's he doing with 50 pounds of
He's in Mexico.
You just gave him $100,000. What the hell do you think Finn's doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Smoking the peace pipe.
We've seen it at a larger scale in the NBA for sure. Guys, in the NBA, we've seen the same process. Sure.
Yeah,
at a much larger scale, though. $80 million and broke.
Never. I have guys all the time say, "What's wrong with this kid? Look, he had the world in his hands. They gave him $5 million," and I say, stop.
And that was the worst thing.
I'll tell you, give me $5 million when I'm 19 or 20, and there's 2 places you're going to find me in 30 days. 2 places: in jail or in rehab. One of the 2. Maybe
not a brothel.
Well, that would have been part of the equation. It would have been part of the journey to either jail or the rehab.
I see. Well,
I'm just saying it's silly to. I like to think those kids are going to be responsible, and God bless the ones that are, and kudos. But if they have any part of me in them, it's going to be tough to corral them and have them make good decisions. I just now, guys, I say it all the time. I make some decisions, and my wife pats me on the back and says, "Man, Tony, that was a good choice. Choices you should have been making when you were 21." And I'm 61, and she's saying that to me now. No joke.
At least she's saying
no
it.
Joke.
I mean,
she says to me now, "Boy, that's
good.
It's so good to see you finally making good decisions. Ones you should have made 40 effing years ago." It's how do you answer somebody who's patting you on the back? You're not sure whether they're being sarcastic or sincere. I'm not sure, so I kind of thanks, and then run as fast as I can.
Well, you could have said, "I'm grateful that I did figure it out and making better choices," because some people never figure it out.
That would just that would develop a second sarcastic remark that would end up in being, I just go. I learned to surrender years ago. It's safer. I still haven't had any operations below my waist, which I've always considered a possibility with my wife, because she's not put up with shit.
Lorraine Bobbitt.
Yes, exactly. And there's a time that my favorite line, I tell people all the time, my sons and my daughters, I tell my daughters, please don't be that girl that gets, yes, honey, you're right. Because if you get too many, yes, honey, you're right, they don't mean it. I've said it enough times to know, my wife knows, just rolls right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. And then I'm on my way, right? That wasn't sincere. So here we go again. I'm off track with you guys. But the South, boy, that's where I would be if I had, if I had a 100-mile-an-hour right arm with a baseball. I'm quite certain I can throw a football a ways, and I would probably be. Here's the deal: you never that lie. You're going to get something as a baseball player, but your real rewards in baseball come after you're off campus and off the farm and in the big boy league. That's when your rewards come.
Not that they needed it already, but that decision with name and licensing only helped SEC recruiting. That's all it did. Not that the SEC needed any help to begin with, but it helped it even more because every kid's going to know that's where the money is, the SEC.
Yeah.
I'm going to sign down there.
That guy that owns 30 Ford dealerships across the South that is almost a billionaire he's the guy that these kids, he's the one that wants not, and it doesn't just apply. First off, it's really difficult, guys, for Saban to say anything too negative because let's be honest, Saban makes what he makes because he's earned it or deserved it. He's worked for
the product.
But guess what? He's using his product is the result of slave labor, where we penalize kids because maybe they took lunch money or they got a plane ride home to see their sick mother, which was against the ridiculous rules.
Yep.
So
I agree.
it had to go. It had to go, man. It had to go. It's stupid. And it became what's his name, asking for his Heisman back. I would be too.
Hey, the guy at SMU was 40 years ahead of his time. Yeah. Because exactly what he was doing is what we have now.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And small colleges like that were capable. Wichita State. Listen, the Xavier McDaniel, Livingston, and who was the other? Those three, their parents all had jobs with the city they didn't have to go to, and were all bought homes. That's what we're at. That's where we at. They did that then. Almost got the death penalty, Wichita State then. Who was it? It was Cliff Livingston, Xavier McDaniels, and that was a pretty good basketball team.
Who is the third one in that bunch?
It's horrible. I should know this. We should know this,
Yeah, you're from that area too.
Yeah, but that was more than 5 minutes ago, so you can't expect me to remember that. But now I got to look it up. Xavier.
What year was that?
Oh, it would have been.
That's the mid-'80s, right? Isn't that the mid-'80s?
Yeah.
85, 86. Xavier McDaniel played for the Supersonics for a lot of years.
Those three were just amazing.
And Cliff Livingston played for the Hawks for a lot of years.
He's pretty damn good, too.
Yeah. Wow, my search didn't bring it up at all. I was trying to see if it would come up this way, but no. I basically said McDaniel, Livingston, and Shockers almost get death penalty, and all it does is bring up Supreme Court rulings.
That must be a big page.
It was a big page, yeah.
I'm still scanning here, but
I'll have it here. It'll come up. There it is. Yeah. Jared McDaniel, which is Xavier McDaniel, okay? Cliff Livingston, but you know what? Still doesn't give me my third player. That's horrible. I know who it is, too. I've said it a million times during my horrible career.
They were in the Big East back then, weren't they?
No, I think they're Missouri Valley.
Missouri Valley, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's right. Okay. That'll make the search different here.
Well, how about this? Oops. Whoops. That didn't work. Whoops. I was going to their all-decade team, and it brings up a lost page. Because all you had to do is all-decade team or all-time team. And then, of course, it's funny, Wichita Eagle Beacon, you can't even get their paper without paying for it now, which I'm really getting tired of on these.
You know, Livingston's not even on the 84-85 roster, so it's got to be 83. I'll go back.
There you go.
McDaniel's on by himself.
They weren't in the Missouri Valley either.
Then they weren't?
No.
Okay.
They don't come up. Huh.
I can't believe it. We're failing miserably.
Well, it'll come up in a second.
Yeah, don't you love the challenge, though?
No. I got other things to meet right now. Listen, they had a football team in the 70s, you know, believe it or not.
I suspect they weren't that good.
Well, no, listen, believe it or not, they've had their tradition rich though in baseball. I mean, that if you're a Wichita State baseball player, brother, that's good stuff, you know. They're saying here that Finn, we're not telling you. We're hiding this. We're listening to your show and hiding something. I don't know what to talk about.
It's a chat room.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 straight years here where I'm showing Xavier McDaniel and Aubrey Sherrard being the top 2 scorers and no sign of Cliff Livingston.
Wow, really?
To come along later. 83-84 is McDaniel and Sherrod. 84-85 is McDaniel and Sherrod. 86-87. Let me see.
Well, this would have happened his senior year, I guess, right?
Well, Xavier McDaniel's drafted in 85, so he's gone in 86. Let me see here.
But it looks like he played all 4 years.
Livingston.
Well, if you go to yeah, that's well, yeah.
Oh, here I go, Tone. Hold on. If I go back 1 year, I have Antoine Carr. How about that?
That's it. Antoine Carr. McDaniels, and yeah.
But they just don't have Livingston on that team. That McDaniel, Carr, and Sherrod. That's as close. That's 82,
no Livingston?
83. That's 82, 83.
Well, that 82, 83, and that's when they went to the Final Four, I think.
They were 25-3, 17-1, first place in the Missouri Valley.
Missouri Valley.
Gene Smithson was the head coach. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
82 points a game. Yeah, that's good. And
that's
here
a
you
big
go.
number.
Okay. All right. I go back 1 more year. How about this? If I go back 1 more year, you get them all. McDaniel's a freshman in 1981.
Yep.
The 81-82 season. McDaniel's a freshman, and Carr and Cliff Livingston are both juniors. Antoine Carr and Cliff Livingston.
Wow.
So that's the year they played together. And in that year, they go 23-6. 12-4, second place in the Missouri Valley. So that they were together for 1 year.
I want to interrupt you for a second. James McGinnis, it says, "Dear Lord, the Yankees tied it at 5-5." During the first pitch show, I couldn't log on. My phone was dead because I could get the Yankees. They gave up 4 runs in the top of the first. I could get them at plus 300, 200 plus 300. I couldn't log on. It came 5-0 by the 5th inning. I had a plus 1,100. I right now have the Yankees at plus 1,100 to win this game.
All right.
I'm telling you.
Hold on. Let me get that on the
That's
monitor.
better than my old Roberts bet, Rob, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I take it back. It was a 7th inning. I think it was 5-1.
5-0 going in. It was They didn't score till the 6th, and then
yes, right. It was 5-1. It's 5-1. It's 5-0. It might have been 5-0 the 6th when I got this. I don't remember, but I saw plus 1100, and I said, "Do you not, William Hill? Do you not know?" I based this. This was a big release too because Gant, he walks people in his sleep. He walks 5 guys, no matter, even if it's just 1 inning, he walks 5 before he gets his 3 outs. Long story short, 1100 was stupid, I thought.
You're top of the 10th.
Well, he just punched out Josh Donaldson. You know, they start this inning, the top of the 10th, with a guy on second, so Donaldson was the first hitter.
Okay, well, listen, if they get out of the top of this, the thing was, I hate playing, it was $1.75 I laid on the Yankees at home with the kid, and who's been great, except for command issues and home runs. But Minnesota, second worst OWBO. I mean, the second worst, horrible offensively. Only 2 teams have been worse in the last 30 days than Minnesota. That's Pittsburgh and Padres and I think 3 teams. But long story short, if it wasn't for McGinnis, I haven't been paying attention to this. I just looked down. If you saw me do this, if you saw me smile like this, it was because, 1,100. Okay, now we're talking. Don't anyone tweet me and ask to borrow money because I don't have that much money on the plus 1,100. All right.
I mean, it's a relative thing, though, too, Tony. I mean, what you think is nothing, somebody might think is,
I can't do that because this is my second account with them. I've already been blackballed by them once. I've already been kicked out once.
Well,
hey,
3 strikes, you're out.
And by the way, if you're listening, it's not my account. It's my wife's account.
She is damn smart.
She's a good girl. I like her today. If they win, I'm going to really like her tonight until I can get it out of that account. So we've gotten way off track, but what did we learn in NFL and in college football? Here's the thing I'll ask people to learn. Ignore. Do not overreact and don't undervalue teams in the first 2 weeks of college football. You'll be making a big mistake at some point in time. What you should do is this, and that is, we're a week late. I remember you know how I feel about the Pac-12. I said all week long, don't USC. There's no way on Gabe's show. Gabe said, Tony, how do you feel about this USC Cal game? I said, listen, you know how I feel about USC. I've talked about it many times. I feel the same about Dave Roberts as I feel about USC, and they're not trustworthy. But Cal changing quarterbacks, got 3 receivers injured, just got humiliated by an okay team, right?
Nevada.
Exactly.
Yep.
Not you. Yeah, right. Long story short, it's hard for me to back Stanford in that situation, even against USC. Then I watched the first quarter of that game and I said, Tony, I tell them all the time, you can't. I know who USC was. I know who USC is. I know Helton. I know what he did at the end of that game. And I don't know if you guys heard me talk about that. Have you heard me talk about that? No. They're up by 16. He's not running the ball. He's trying to score again. His ass hurts. He's got so much. He's got so much antibiotics and whatever the hell that ointment is on his ass because it's so hot. But what happened last week? I assure you, should have put all his fears to rest because Mr. Helton, you is no longer going to be the USC head coach. No more. You aren't. And in fact, we may see they may offer Urban Myers, they may offer him a spaceship or, Catalina Island to take the job. Who knows?
Well,
but Pete Carroll, I'll say it again, until the Pac-12 has an Alabama, until the Pac-12 has an Oklahoma, until the Pac-12 has a Clemson. You see, those kind of teams, those kind of programs, cheat or not cheat, and Pete Carroll was one of the best cheaters ever in the history of college football. until you have that team, those teams make the rest of the conference better. They inspire kids. They want to come play against USC. They want to come play. If they can't be on Alabama, they want to play against Alabama. If you can't join them because they won't take you, then beat them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, but the Pac-12, ever since Pete Carroll left and took that job in Seattle, they haven't been relevant. They're not relevant. There isn't that standout. Who's the program right now? And who's the program? I'll say it, and I'm going to get some drive-bys because Oregon people hate me, by the way. Oregon football fans hate me because I've been so rough on that program. But it's impossible to make Oregon that program because they're in the rainforest somewhere on the Pacific Ocean. And it's difficult.
I knew he was going to say it.
It's difficult to make them that program. Okay? Am I wrong?
No, I agree.
No. Yeah. It really is.
I had a buddy ask me yesterday, like, why is Texas getting killed by Arkansas? Why in the world do they think they can play in the SEC? They should stay where they are.
Holy crap! Well,
and I said, you're kidding me, right? You're just saying this sarcastically. He says, no, they should have stayed in the conference they're in because they're not good enough.
He was saying. I said, he was saying it.
No, he was saying it honestly.
No, he wasn't
if he's listening, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus. I kind of said it, right? Wait a minute, you're really asking me this question? Like, dollar bills, maybe federal budget deficit.
Yeah, well, I guess I didn't say I didn't deliver it very well.
Anyway,
you get what I said? He didn't say it. He didn't say it. He didn't say it sarcastically. He said it Sarkeesianly.
Sorry, yeah, that's good too. I like that word.
Now I delivered it better, huh?
Yep. Now we can reverse this, define this word. So when Steve Merrill comes on, we'll have Steve Merrill today. Steve, your word is Sarkeesian.
Sarkeesianly. It's
Sarkeesianly.
A derivative of sarcasm.
Yeah, there you go. That would be it. I mean, that would take probably 20 minutes to hear the definition, but it would be probably fun for the first 5.
Yeah. But anyway. But instead of going game to game, it's the first 2 weeks of the NFL, first 2 weeks of college football, more so, just as much so. You'll see it. You saw it. How many outright underdogs won yesterday in the NFL? Outright. Didn't just covered, outright won. 5, 8, how many? So I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm guessing. Pittsburgh.
I can tell you here.
Miami.
1 second. I can tell you, Rob, that Aaron Rodgers has had 6 games that he's played for the Packers, and they scored 6 or fewer. You want to know what happens? You want to know what happens next?
I don't know.
0-6 straight up.
I know he's a quitter. When things aren't going his way, he's a quitter. I know that because what I saw yesterday is the same thing you saw last year when they got murdered by Tampa Bay. He quit in the third quarter. He drops back into his own end zone yesterday when things aren't going well in the third quarter, just heaves it up in the air to get picked off 50 yards. He quits. The guy quits.
We talked about the
David Bakhtiari.
The dangers of taking him in that game as a road favorite in week 1. And I couldn't pull the trigger on a couple teams yesterday. One of them was the Saints, and the other was the Browns. I like the Browns. They're a good matchup for the Chiefs, and in truth, here we go. One play that was a bad pass. Here's what I don't get about these play-by-play and color guys in any sport, at any level. But that pass.
First of all, they're colorblind.
The first play, when Cleveland went up by 8 or 9 in the fourth quarter, was a bad pass. Mahomes is running for his life, and he throws a pass up there knowing that either Hill's going to catch it or it's not going to be caught because they're in a man-to-man. They're a man-to-man on that. They'd blitzed, and that's why he's running for his life. And it was fluttering. Hill catches it, 75 yards, a touchdown. Everything changes. One play. Because at that point in time, you could have turned the TV off. You know who's going to win. They're 1-9-1. The Chiefs are 1-9-1 in one-score games. Their last 11 one-score games, they're 1-9-1 against the spread.
It's consistent.
Rob, what are they straight up in those 11 games?
You said 1-9-1?
Yep.
They're probably
1-9-1 against the spread.
Yeah, so they're probably like 10-1 or 11-0.
11-0.
Yeah. Yep.
And what does that tell you? It tells
they're
you
overvalued.
That not only does it tell you they're overvalued, it also tells you that that's all that Andy Reid cares about is winning, and they do enough to win. And guess what? When the back's against the wall, Mahomes is a pretty good fellow to have on your team. It's also
just won plus 1,100. You just won. That's a double down the line. That's the game. Yankees win 6-5.
Wow.
What am I going to do with that $11? What am I going to, honey? I won $11.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
It's actually a little bit more than $11.
They won that game with 5 hits. 6 runs on 5 hits.
And guess when all the runs were scored? Well, listen, Gant, I played that.
How many walked.
I released that game too, but it was a play against Gant. Gant pitched 2.2 innings. He's been stretched out, and he this is what he said. That's what they said. Oh, he was complaining about being a little bit sore because they'd been stretching him out. You know, he'd been throwing long toss. And I said, you sissy bitch. You sissy bitch. You're complaining you sissy, because I got this plays against Gant, and all of a sudden now they're going to the bullpen, which I didn't feel horrible about, but I needed Gant to give up 4 or 5 runs before they yanked him, walk 4 or 5 guys. He got 2 outs. He walked Judge, and they pulled him. He said, you know something? I don't want to face the Yankees because I'm walking 5 teams that are impatient at the plate. Nobody is more patient at the plate nobody takes more pitches per inning, per at bat, than who? The Yankees. As bad as they've been at times offensively, they work pitchers like Boston used to work pitchers. Or Boston still does to some degree. Well, Boston was, when they were in that Poppy era, when they were underperforming, I mean, they still worked pitchers brutal, Good stuff. 1,100.
3 months ago, we were talking about the Yankees not being able to get guys home.
Yes.
And now they're winning games, like Rob said, 6 runs, 5 hits.
This is a game that 4-0. I'm doing first pitch, giving up my free play, and I know that I have an 11 o'clock Vegas game. It's 11 o'clock tip. It's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock your time. 11 o'clock here. And I look over, and it's 4-0 in the bottom of the first, and I'm laying $1.75, right? And I'm saying, I really thought that this. Am I ever going to start? I'm waiting for my wife to tell me what a bad decision I made.
Not that bad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But it was 2 big hits. Gallo hit a solo in the 7th, and Judge hit a 3-run shot in the 8th.
Yes. The ball was flying. The ball must have been flying out of Yankee today because guess what? There was the wind favored the Yankees. It was 82 at first pitch with a 5 to 10 mile an hour breeze blowing out to right center. Which, if those conditions are going to favor somebody, it's certainly going to favor the Yankees over the Twins.
Yeah.
And I'll give away my second pick at baseball today. So that way, maybe I can, if I give it away, that the baseball gods will look favorably on me. And I like under. I don't think it was. I released it early last. It's an 8 at City. I said my first game was in the Bronx, cross the East River over into Queens, and you get my second game, which was under with Hill and Wainwright. Yeah, and it was 8, but it looked like to me, I had a feeling it was going to go to 7.5 because I'm not very smart, and if I can figure that out, then certainly someone else can.
Yeah, but you must have known you have Will Little behind the plate.
No, I did. We don't have Will Little. Guess who's behind the plate?
I don't know who we have behind the plate in that.
I do know. I got information on that one long before it's game one. So usually we don't.
Right.
But here's the deal: it's not a pitcher friendly. Who is it? It's It's pretty bad that I've already. It was more than 5 minutes ago. I don't have to make excuses. We know. We know where I'm at in my life. I'm going to pull it up because the umpire does. Here, who it doesn't favor. I take that back. I don't know who I'm talking about. I was talking about the Yankees game. I'm sorry. I knew who that umpire was, and it certainly wasn't going to favor Gant because Gant needs an umpire that calls the black. Who was it? It was Jeff Nelson. Jeff Nelson is probably arguably the most consistent umpire, active umpire I know. My charts on him are incredible. That's why he's always in the playoffs. He's always one of those guys, but he doesn't favor. He's more neutral than anything. But Gant needs a guy that's going to give him the black and stretch it, et cetera, et cetera. And I have the under tonight. Now, this is why I don't play very big on when I don't know the umpires. Guess who the damn umpire is for the Mets game? I'm looking at my email.
I just tried to look. I didn't find it.
Well, Angel Hernandez.
No, I'll tell you who my buddy's telling me it is, okay? And he's 9 out of 10 times he's right. And he said, don't look now, but there's a note on who the umpire is for tonight's game in Queens in your bread box. So do you know who it is?
Oh, it's the guy that, you've talked about him before.
Jerry Meals.
Oh, Jerry Meals.
Jerry Meals, who is nicknamed the Bread Box. Why is he nicknamed the Bread Box?
Because it's
the size of the
strike zone.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I have his stats up right in front of me.
Right.
Home team record 14-12. That's not really that big a deal, but he's umpired 795 games. This will be 796.
Yes.
And the scoring for the home and the road teams is the highest it's been in his career for any season. 5.5 and 5.3.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic?
Well, it's who he is. He's never succumbed to the, when you got that, when you're tenured like he is.
Well, it's not ironic, actually. I said that wrong.
Do you know how many times he's been the umpire behind home plate in his career? Which I think your number. Listen, he's been behind home plate.
Well, it's usually divided by 4.
No, 427 times.
Wow, that's a big ratio.
Do you know?
That's a big ratio to the total.
Who's been behind the plate more than Jerry Meals? Only 4 guys ever: Marvin Hudson, Ted Barrett, Joe West, Bill Miller.
Hey, you know what? I got to check this in my database. So I might have a problem, or it might be right. This stat says that this is based on since 1997, when he is behind home plate, it's 795 times. But you're saying it's not even close to that.
It's not. These are career. Now these are. I'm looking. Let me tell you where I'm getting these from. I'm getting this from MLB Analytics. So I'm going to assume that MLB is when it tells me these are. You would think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You would hope so. So I don't know. These are just games behind home plate.
Guess what the over is in his. Well, apparently it's times behind home plate. Do you think he's done 25 games behind home plate this year? Probably, right?
Who?
Meals.
Oh,
does that sound like a big number to you, or is that?
No, that's about
a normal number.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll switch. Switch to go to this year's if you want to hear this.
So maybe we make this a free pick for the guys tonight. The over in his games when he's behind the home plate is 18-7, and that makes all the sense in the world to me if he's a bread box guy.
Yes. Well, here's the problem. I released the under.
The hitters are going to stand there and wait.
I'm not giving a free pick out on your show for the over when I've released the under.
Shoot!
I know, right? I know it's horrible of me not to do that. But, I'm not doing it.
We got to get a new producer. He told me that you had the over.
26. I have him behind the home plate 26 times. According to MLB, is 26 times. 19-7. Overs, 19-7 unders. Listen to this. And what's the total in the game tonight? It's an 8 or a 7.5, right?
Yep.
It'll be an 8 now. When they find out Meals behind the plate, it'll be an 8.
Listen, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'll guarantee you that Adam Wainwright and Rich Hill combined have pitched with Jerry Meals behind the plate about 40 times, 50 times.
They know him. They know they probably are the ones that gave him the nickname. It's something they never talk about. You won't hear about, and those listening in the audience, pitchers, savvy pitchers, and you understand, Hill is 41 years old or 40. Wainwright's 41. These guys are 81 years combined. They know umpires like they know the back of their hand.
That's the point I'm trying to make, Tone, is that 19-7 sounds cute, but Wainwright and Hill know how to pitch to this guy. It's not two young kids. It's guys that have thrown with him behind the plate 50 times probably. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
there's probably a lot of mutual respect between the two.
They know what they're dealing with.
Meals and the two pitchers.
They also know this. They know that they're going to have to pitch and be successful as they have been, or Wainwright has been. He knows that he's going to have to catch more of the plate than he would have to catch with a Will Little. He knows that. I don't have, it's no secret.
That's if they stand there and look at it, because those curveballs sometimes you don't stand there and look at. How many curveballs thrown in this game? 100, 110 curveballs in this game between those two?
Yeah,
easily.
And guess what? As long as they're in the game, there's not going to be anything thrown more than about 92 miles an hour either.
Right. The break on those guys' curveballs is outrageous. The two.
And that's a great point, Rob, because in baseball, knowing that you have that umpire there and you're a batter, you're not going to swing first pitch, and you're not going to swing first pitch if you identify curveball. So what you're going to see first pitch curveball tonight, like probably no other game you can imagine.
Well, and these guys know how to throw first pitch strike. These guys aren't playing around; they're veterans. First pitch strike. If you're going to
first pitch strike curveball
and throw first pitch strike, and Hill will get ahead of you with that, 89 mile an hour fastball. If he knows you're going to stand there, he'll just throw it down.
Because it looks like it's 96.
These guys are, like I say, they're veterans. So sometimes those umpire stats you got to take them with a grain of salt. We'll see what happens in the game tonight, but.
And Rich Hill still has, I guess, the highest spin rate on the curveball, like 2,600, I think it is.
Well, I thought, listen, this was my understanding, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but he was traded. One of the reasons he was let go was Tampa Bay let him go, right? Because he was using so much tack that he lost so much of the spin rate. Now, he's made the adjustments, but listen, I'm under the belief. I'm under that understanding. My sources have said the reason.
Oh, I believe it.
They know. They knew he was going to lose something that they knew that what they had with him, and without that tack, he doesn't have the same spin rate. You have to take all that with these guys aren't – most of these guys that have some access to the Tampa Bay, they're either a Tampa Bay beat writer or they know them. And a lot of information I get third hand, although it's not it's not information, though, that I don't trust. They're not going to wiggle it, jiggle it, add a word or two. They're going to tell me what they heard and what they know. And, of course, they're going to call me at some point in time, and they're going to ask me something that I've told someone I'm not going to say anything, and I have to tell them. And that's the only way it works.
Yeah, I mean, with Hill, you could totally understand him using a substance, because if there's one thing that's held that guy back his entire career, it's the blisters. That dude's blister problems time and time again because of the curveballs that he throws. When he was with L.A., he would throw for like 4 games and then be out for 6 games because the blisters were just terrible on his hands. So, I could understand.
That's not from the seams either.
It's
no, it's not.
He's throwing well lately.
It's being. I understand from what I understand. It's been from being alone in hotel rooms when you're on the road.
You don't have any friends?
Did I really just say that? Because that's good, Dan. I don't know. I just had to say it.
I mean, half the things you say like that, sometimes I want to laugh, but I don't understand what the hell you're saying.
Well, good.
Maybe he wanted to just get some rest, and and he wouldn't be bothered by his teammates.
Maybe.
Michael Jordan did that when he first started.
It wasn't near as good an answer. I didn't think it wasn't funny in my sick head.
Well, I guess it is time to do our picks. And
I've got so much crap to do. You guys always get me off track. Oh shit, I'm hourly.
You can do 30 seconds.
I can't do this during NFL season. You got to keep me on track. I am buried, fucking buried.
Well, then we'll get you off quickly, and then we'll make sure that
now,
doesn't.
I have a funny
doesn't happen going forward.
That line there, but I'm not going to use that because there's no women on the panel.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Let's go.
All right, we'll start with Tony Finn. So
we'll start. Okay, we'll start Tony Finn.
Go in a minute, and then Rob, and then me.
2 plays, not like John's plays. No props, no golfing, no how many titleists am I going to slice in 18 holes? That kind of proposition stuff. 2 plays.
It's 0.
Houston first 5, and Houston -1.5 full game. Odorizzi, as much as he threw a fit, he complained and he said, "That's not who I am. It's not what I'm going to do." Houston has turned him into a 5-inning pitcher because his peripherals for the first 5 are astronomically, exponentially better than when he pitches beyond 5 innings. And they asked him, "That's what we're going to do with you." He threw a fit, and I guess he's accepted it. His 3.83 ERA when he throws just 5 innings is much better than anything else he can do. And in turn, they have a plan behind him to piggyback some of they even play the rest of the 4 starters out with an understanding that's what they're going to get with Odorizzi. And then they have, depending on the opponent, they have who they believe to be the most favorable to piggyback Odorizzi. What we have tonight is a buddy of yours that came from Philadelphia in a trade to Texas, and he's been miserable. He's been absolutely miserable. Not only has he been on the IL with the COVID-19, they limited him to 2 innings last time to try to kind of stretch him back out and starting role. But here's the deal: I made this comment to a friend of mine this morning. We were talking about who I like tonight. This was one of my 3 plays. I didn't release it. I made it a free play with you guys and with the first pitch, and that is that Howard. His ERA is 6.83 or something like that, right? And the guy said, "Yeah, but Tony, his Sierra is 4.97." I said, "Listen, I understand that he has some positive regression coming, but his positive regression isn't good enough to stop Houston from scoring 5 or more runs." Houston Astros first 5 and -1.5 full game. Don't mortgage the house, but grab, don't tell your wife, but get a couple mortgage payments and let's win.
Love it.
Okay.
You're next, Mr. Veno.
I mean, it shortens things up in this segment because the only play I made today, and I have no other play, was Houston full game run line -1.5.
There you go.
I mean, Tony already. I've got nothing else to talk about because I didn't make any other MLB plays, and my NFL is a 4% best bet, so I'd rather not give that out here. So
right.
I'll ride with Tony. I mean, it's the only play I made is Houston -1.5.
So for the record, we'll make it our first double play. It's a 2x.
So we're right, Tone.
All right, man.
A 2x. And of course, my bet wouldn't be a bet if I didn't have my slide. So there it is. Arizona Dodgers, and I stumbled upon this little gem. You're going to bet the over. Team is favored by at least -250. And believe it or not, with Kershaw on the mound, they are -275 against the worst team in baseball. Team is batting .230 or worse over the last 15 games, which is pretty bad for the Dodgers recently. So positive regression. Team has a starting pitcher in Kershaw with a whip of less than 1.2 over his last 10 games. 19-7. 19-7 over. 73%. Robust 40% ROI, which pales in comparison to that Yankees bet you just made on the show at plus 1,100. And the
so
Yankees
who are you? Who's the bet? What's the bet?
Over the total in the Dodgers and Arizona. It says it right here.
Gotcha. So what's the number? What's the number? Does it matter? What if the number's What if the number's 15? Are you still over?
It's 8 under 15.
Over 8. Okay.
All right, over 8.
Laying a nickel. Tone, you should drink.
What is the Dodgers run team total? Because that's going to be my prop bet.
Oh, the Dodgers team total.
That's my prop bet.
The Dodgers team total is probably 5. If it's 8, it's the Dodger team total is going to be 5.5.
Over 8 minus 115.
It looks like the Dodgers team total, according to our great WagerTalk live odds screen, is 4.5 over minus 130.
Oh
yeah, that's minus 130 means it's a 5. But you're right. Yeah.
Well, if I can find a 5 and get even minus 115, I'll bang it out. But at 4.5, even minus 130, and as much as you guys know, and you guys hate it too, prop bets, you don't go above minus 120 unless there's a reason. Well, it's minus 135.
You can't get prop bets from less than minus 120 usually. Most of the
in game, I guess, yeah, right.
No, William Hill's, yeah. Well, no, William Hill's prop bets are minus 120 on both sides. They're 40-cent lines.
Yeah, and that's why we don't like them. But MGM's been pretty good. They've gotten a lot better since they've.
Have you collected from MGM? Have you collected from MGM?
I'm one of the few that actually can say I haven't had a problem because I got their debit.
Have you read those reviews? I've read reviews about them.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Horrible. Wow, are they bad? Yeah.
But I can go to my ATM and I put in your PIN number and I get money.
That's different. Guess what? William Hill, I have a William Hill credit card so that I can deposit, or if I need some money, I can just go to William Hill to the website, to the app, and I can transfer the funds in my account onto my credit card and withdraw it without having to pay
that's a fee,
a cash advance. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. A pretty good idea. I didn't know they had that.
Yep, they do. Very, very nice.
Yeah. I hope they send me the $200 advertising fee for that commercial.
Yeah. It comes really handy when somebody asks me to bail them out of jail and I don't have to ask Susie. I don't have to ask Q about taking some money out of the account. What's that money for? Well, no, I just take it right out of William Hill.
It's
her account actually, but she never looks at it. There we go.
I just say the car needs an oil change.
She's listening to the show.
That's the hotline.
All right, well, I'm going to let you guys go because I don't want anybody in trouble here.
Yes.
Or behind.
I don't know who Tony is, and he's not here. Don't ever call again. Okay.
I muted your mic, so nobody heard who that was.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I thought it was pretty funny when I said I don't know who.
No, I didn't mute your mic. I'm proud that I'm the only host that has never muted your mic.
Finn again, ever.
My new nickname, John. I never muted Tony's mic, Ryan.
Well, that may be you may be downgraded on many people's cards for that.
Well, I'm proud of it.
Okay, listen, guys.
Anyway, guys,
great. We got fun. I'll see you guys on next Monday, right? Because it is Friday. Every day's Friday in Tony's world. It's Friday.
That's right. Friday. That's right. And we will keep it to. I promise you, we'll keep it to an hour. For all of our sakes.
I'm just going to set a timer on my on the screen, and it might just disappear.
Oh, Tony, don't disappear yet. Okay. Clay Helton just got fired.
What a shocker. Listen to me. All you have to do is listen to Tony Finn. Because Clay Helton should never still be there.
Fired. You just got him fired.
Yep. I mean, there can't be a better show.
What's going to happen? Now he's going to call me and say, Tony, I got no place to live. Can I come stay with you? Okay, Clay.
Dante Williams. Who the hell is Dante Williams?
Dante Williams is
he's got to be on the staff.
He's going to
be the interim.
Yeah,
he's not the OC or the DC, though.
That's the worst title in sports world, interim head coach. That means you're not quite good enough, but you're going to finish out this dreadful season.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and it's inevitable. It was inevitable. You heard it here first. You heard it first on the John Ryan Show. Helton ain't long for USC's head. He's gone. And here it is.
And we got your plus 1,100 Yankee bet.
Man, what a fantastic show.
Please, we'll have to rename it the F and Tony Show.
John is going to, after the show's over, I don't have time to do it, so John will set up a GoFundMe page so I can announce the next coach you want to have fired. GoFundMe page.
I love it. Absolutely. That's pretty damn funny.
I got to get
All right, so on behalf of everybody and all the shows that we represent that are powered by all the shows that you already know, may all the wins be yours.
Not for you, Mr. Helton. Don't be taking our wins.